Picture the engineer at Toyota who walked into a boardroom and said the words, "Let's kill the gas Highlander." 5 million owners, the best-selling three-row family SUV in America, the safe choice your aunt drives, and somebody decided to blow it up. That actually happened. It's happening right now for 2027, and it's not even the wildest thing on this list. There's a brand back from the dead after 44 years, a Kia that just abandoned the engine that made it famous, and a Rivian that finally costs what normal people can pay. The 2027 SUV class is the biggest shakeup in a decade, and most buyers have no clue it's coming. Number 1 rewrites the rulebook. Let's count down. Number 7, Mercedes-Benz GLC EV. Start here because this is the one that proves the Germans finally stopped phoning it in. The GLC has always been Mercedes's bread and butter, the compact SUV that pays the bills. So when they built the electric version, the easy move was to slap a battery in the existing shell and call it a day. They did not. The 2027 electric GLC rides on a fresh platform with a 94 kilowatt-hour battery and a claimed driving range north of 400 miles on the European cycle. Now, European numbers always shrink under American EPA testing, so figure real world somewhere in the 350-mile neighborhood, but that is still enough to make range anxiety a non-issue for almost anybody. Here is the number that actually matters, though. It charges at up to 330 kilowatts, which Mercedes says can add roughly 188 miles of range in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. That is a coffee and a bathroom break and you are gone. But the part nobody is talking about is the brain. Mercedes built this thing around a new operating system running chips capable of 254 trillion operations per second. In plain English, the SUV learns your habits, talks to your passengers, and makes real-time decisions on its own. They even offer a fully vegan interior package. Mercedes is the only automaker on Earth with cabin materials independently certified by the Vegan Society. 5 years ago, that would have been a punchline. Now it is a selling point. Who is this for? Somebody who wants a luxury EV that does not scream luxury EV. It is restrained, it is familiar, and it is going to sell like crazy precisely because it does not try to reinvent what a Mercedes feels like. It just quietly does everything better. And if the GLC surprised you, the next one is from a brand you would not expect to go electric first. Number 6, Lexus TZ. For years, Lexus had a problem nobody at Lexus wanted to say out loud. Hyundai had the Ioniq 9, Kia had the EV9, Rivian had the R1S. Everybody had a big three-row electric SUV for families, everybody except the brand that practically invented the luxury SUV. Lexus was late, embarrassingly late. The 2027 TZ is the answer, and it's a serious one. It's Lexus's first ever three-row electric SUV, built on Toyota's TNGA platform. It comes standard with all-wheel drive. Here's the trick: rear-wheel steering. That last bit is a bigger deal than it sounds. A vehicle this size normally drives like a barge in a parking lot. Rear-wheel steering shrinks the turning circle and makes a three-row SUV behave like something a size smaller. You notice it the first time you pull a U-turn. It offers 2 battery options, roughly 77 and 96 kilowatt hours, with an estimated range up to 300 miles. US models get the North American charging standard port, meaning you can pull into a Tesla supercharger and just plug in. No adapter dance, no app roulette. What makes the TZ dangerous to the competition isn't any single spec, it's the badge plus the platform. This shares its bones with Toyota's own new electric three-row, which means it's built on engineering. Toyota has been refining for years, wrapped in Lexus reliability and Lexus quietness. People will pay a premium for that combination, and Lexus knows it. The TZ goes on sale later this year, and it's going to quietly eat market share from every German rival on this list. Now, from quiet luxury to something with actual presence. Number 5. Genesis GV90. Here's a sentence that would have sounded insane 10 years ago. The most extravagant three-row SUV launching in 2027 is a Hyundai product. Genesis, Hyundai's luxury arm, is launching the GV90, and it's aiming directly at Cadillac, Mercedes-Maybach, and, frankly, Rolls-Royce. I'm not exaggerating about the Rolls comparison. The GV90 is expected to launch with B pillarless coach doors. The rear doors hinge backward and open opposite the fronts, with no pillar in between. That is a feature normally reserved for cars that cost $250,000, because coach doors are harder to engineer, harder to make safe, and harder to mass produce. Genesis is putting them on a production SUV. When they revealed the Neo-Lun concept this was based on, nobody talked about the design or the tech. Everybody talked about those doors. Underneath, it is built on Hyundai's new EM platform, which the company claims delivers around a 50% range improvement over their current electric vehicles. Estimates put output somewhere in the 500 to 600 horsepower range, with an EPA range target reaching toward 450 miles, and it will charge at 350 kilowatts, 10 to 80%, in roughly 20 minutes. Pricing is expected to start around $100,000 and climb well past that for the top trims. Now, $100,000 plus is real money, and this will not be a volume seller. But that is not the point. The GV90 is a statement vehicle. It exists to prove Genesis belongs in the same room as the legacy luxury brands. And once people see a Korean SUV with coach doors and a 450-mile range sitting in a showroom, the entire perception of what Genesis is changes overnight. That's the kind of nobody saw it coming that reshapes a brand. Speaking of reshaping, this next one finally makes a famous brand affordable. Number 4. Rivian R2. Rivian built a cult following with the R1S and R1T. The problem? You needed $80,000 to join the cult. Brilliant vehicles, beautiful engineering, completely out of reach for the average buyer. Everybody who loved Rivian was stuck watching from the sidelines. The R2 ends that. This is Rivian's Model 3 moment, the affordable model that takes the brand mainstream. Base price lands at the long-promised $45,000 for the standard rear-wheel drive trim. A standard long-range version, starting around $48,490, arrives in early 2027 and stretches up to 345 miles on a charge, the range king of the lineup. And if you want the toy, the dual-motor performance trim cranks out 656 horsepower and hits 60 miles per hour in 3.6 seconds, while still doing up to 330 miles. Let that sink in. A 656 horsepower mid-size SUV from a brand people already trust, for a price that competes with a loaded Toyota RAV4. The R2 is not trying to be the cheapest electric vehicle. It is trying to be the one that finally lets the Rivian faithful actually buy in and bring 100,000 of their neighbors with them. The catch, and there is always a catch, is timing. The truly cheap $45,000 version does not ship until late 2027 as a 2028 model. So patience is required. But Rivian has spent 2 years touring this thing around the country, collecting deposits, and the demand is real. When the R2 hits the streets in volume, it will do to the affordable electric vehicle segment exactly what the R1 did to the premium one. It legitimizes it. Now we get into the trucks that do not act like trucks. Number 3. Kia Telluride. This is the betrayal that turned out to be a masterstroke. The Telluride built its entire reputation on one thing: a smooth, dependable 3.8-liter V6 and a no-drama personality that won at Car and Driver 10 Best Awards almost every single year since 2020. It was the people's champion. Affordable, spacious, bulletproof reputation. So what did Kia do for the all-new 2027 model? They killed the V6. Gone. The standard engine is now a 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder making 274 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque, paired with an 8-speed automatic and rated to tow up to 5,000 pounds. And for the first time in the Telluride's history, there's a hybrid, a 2.5-liter turbo hybrid setup producing 329 horsepower and 339 pound-feet, which is 77 pound-feet more torque than the old V6 ever made. The hybrid is Kia estimated at around 35 miles per gallon, combined with a total range of up to 637 miles on a tank. 637 miles. You could drive from Los Angeles past Las Vegas and most of the way to Salt Lake City without stopping for fuel. Here's why this is so smart. The old V6 was reliable but thirsty, and 3-row family SUVs live and die on road trip fuel costs. By going turbo and adding a hybrid, Kia kept the towing, added power, and slashed the gas bill. The interior got a major upgrade with higher quality materials and more room in all 3 rows, plus a massive curved display stretching across the dash. The 2027 Telluride is built in Georgia and is expected to start somewhere around $40,000 when it goes on sale early this year. For that money, you get the most refined Telluride ever made with the best fuel economy it's ever had. Kia took the safest, most beloved vehicle in its lineup and gambled the whole formula, and it's going to pay off enormously. But for sheer, I can't believe this is happening, nothing beats the next 2. Number 2, Scout Traveler. Some of you remember the International Harvester Scout. Boxy, rugged, body on frame, one of the original off-roaders that fought the early Broncos and Wagoneers from 1960 to 1980. Then the company collapsed and the name died. For 44 years, it was a piece of automotive history and nothing more. Volkswagen just brought it back from the grave. The 2027 Scout Traveler is a body-on-frame electric SUV, and that body-on-frame part matters, because almost every other electric SUV is a unibody crossover pretending to be tough. The Traveler has front and rear locking differentials, 4-wheel drive, and a chassis built to actually take a beating. Target specs are wild. Roughly 1,000 pound-feet of torque, 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds, and more than 7,000 pounds of towing capacity. In pure electric form, it is projected at around 350 miles of range. But here's the genius move, and the part nobody predicted. Scout is offering an optional onboard gasoline generator, a range extender they call the Harvester, that pushes total range past 500 miles. The gas engine never drives the wheels, it just tops up the battery when you're deep in the middle of nowhere. And the buyers have spoken loud and clear. More than 80% of reservation holders chose the gas backup version. People want electric capability without the fear of being stranded, and Scout is the first major new brand to actually listen. It's expected to start under $60,000, and because it's being built at a brand new factory in South Carolina, some configurations could land closer to $50,000 after incentives. That undercuts the Rivian R1S, the GMC Hummer, and the electric G-Class by a mile. Real buttons and knobs, available front bench seat, traditional door handles, Scout deliberately kept the analog stuff people actually like. Production is targeted for 2027. A dead American off-road brand, resurrected by a German giant, building a rugged electric SUV with a gas backup in South Carolina for the price of a loaded family hauler. If you'd pitched that 5 years ago, you'd have been laughed out of the room. It's real now, and it's still not the biggest shock on this list. Number 1. Toyota Highlander. If there's one vehicle on this planet that represented safe, sensible, never change anything, it was the Toyota Highlander, the default 3-row family SUV. The car you buy when you've stopped caring about being interesting and you just want it to start every morning for the next 200,000 miles. Toyota sold them by the boatload precisely because they were predictable. For 2027, Toyota torched the entire formula. The new Highlander is going all electric. Not a hybrid option, not a plug-in version alongside the gas one. The gas and hybrid powertrains are being phased out entirely. America's favorite no-drama family SUV is becoming a battery electric vehicle. Full stop. Unveiled in February of this year, it's built on Toyota's TNGA platform, the same architecture underpinning the new Lexus TZ from earlier in this list, with an estimated range around 300 miles and a North American charging standard port for supercharger access. Now understand why this is the boldest move in the entire industry right now. Half the major automakers are running scared. Ford, GM, Stellantis, all of them have pulled back hard on electric vehicle plans, citing weaker than expected demand and billions in losses. The conventional wisdom in 2026 is that going all electric is dangerous. And into that exact climate, Toyota, the most cautious, most conservative, most patient car company on earth, the company that spent years being mocked for not going electric fast enough, takes its single most important family vehicle and makes it electric vehicle only. This is the company that's almost never wrong about the long game. Toyota didn't make this bet on a whim. They believe the family SUV buyer is finally ready, and they're betting the most valuable nameplate in their lineup on it. If they're right, and Toyota usually is, every other automaker that pulled back is going to look like they blinked too early. The Highlander going electric isn't just a new model, it's Toyota telling the entire industry which way the wind is actually blowing. That's the one nobody saw coming. Not the luxury players, not the startups, the most boring, dependable badge in America deciding to lead the charge. So there it is, 7 SUVs that are about to flip the 2027 market on its head. The Mercedes GLC EV with its 10-minute fast charge. The Lexus TZ that finally gives Lexus a 3-row electric. The Genesis GV90 with Rolls-Royce doors and a Korean badge. The Rivian R2 that makes the brand affordable at last. The Kia Telluride that murdered its own V6 and came out stronger. The Scout Traveler, a 44-year-old ghost brought back to life with a gas-electric trick everybody wanted. And the Toyota Highlander, the safest nameplate in America, making the riskiest move of all. The dealers pushing you toward last year's leftovers don't want you thinking about any of this. But now, you know what's actually coming. If this breakdown helped you see the 2027 market clearly, hit subscribe. I have a full video on which of these is actually worth waiting for versus which ones to skip, and the numbers behind it. Drive safe, do your homework, and I'll see you in the next one.